Welcome to our session on indeed trustworthy AI for interoperability in the public sector. So we will really guide you through some of the things that we heard, we touched upon this morning. So you actually saw the discussion in the panel, you saw the keynotes mentioning a key report, so no pressure for our speaker later on. We'll hear more about that and we'll really discuss now more the practicalities. So let's take the messages we had from this morning and really see what happens if we hit the ground and really see cases of using AI in the public sector across Europe. So the main idea for this session is that one. We will have three distinguished panelists after our introduction of the main reports, and then we will have two discussants joining in to really elaborate and shed a light on what it means to use trustworthy AI for interoperability and what are the implications for the public sector. Before I dive into the details, this is work that is done in collaboration. So we are part of the European Commission's Joint Research Center, but we are working also closely together with Digit. So please, just a few welcoming words from Alexandra before we dive into the details of this afternoon session.
Thank you very much, Sven. And just to compliment on this and say that I am actually a former member of the JRC family as well. So I think we are in a very familiar atmosphere here as well. So I think apart from interoperability and AI, trustworthy is the third most frequent keyword that we have heard today. And I'm just coming before lunch after the automated public services session, where we have seen that a very important part of creating automated public services that are interoperable and that use AI to support that is to have trustworthy AI on which those services are built. So, of course, there are many challenges, but we have seen that there are a lot of opportunities, not just upcoming opportunities, but opportunities that are already being seized at the level of administrations in different shapes and forms. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about those opportunities and challenges in this session. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Alexandra, and we will actually get back to you to understand what you take out of the session towards the end. But now, without further ado, you saw several mentionings this morning about a report on AI for interoperability in the public sector, and we are lucky enough to have our very own Luca Tangi here from the Joint Research Center, who is the first author of that report, and he will dive you through the report itself and some of our key findings before we then start the discussions with the other panelists. So please, Luca, the floor is yours.
So good afternoon, everybody, also from my side. Well, I think I have a difficult task now after this morning. A lot of people mentioning this report. I will try to go a bit deeper into what we identify through that report. So, well, the title is not very original. We are talking about this since this morning, but this is also the title of our report. Now, here you see the report. Also, this morning it was already showed in a similar slide. So, it was a long work. We spent a lot of time and a lot of energies working on it. Well, as you see, I'm only one of the authors. So here with me in the room, there are also Jaume and Paula that co-authored it with me. And following us, I'm sure, from online, there is also Marco, another author of this report. So the starting point is very simple, and I think this morning we already discussed a lot about it, and like my simple bullet points here does not give justice about what we already know about this topic. No, Sim was closing his keynote speech saying that AI future in the public sector is boosted by AI for interoperability. So we are talking about a very central topic, but also we were thinking and discovering that actually there were no studies, not that much studies that were looking at the intersection between AI and interoperability. Even though, and we also observe it a lot, there is a relation. No, AI cannot. Yesterday there was this questions for what's the relation between large language models and interoperability. And of course, there is a lot of relation between these two topics and one link to the other. So the first thing we wanted to understand and disentangle a bit more is, okay, what is this relation? What is the relation? Well, we tried to simplify it as much as we could in this graph. So basically, what EI can do, so we're talking about the use of EI for supporting interoperability. So what EI can do, well, it can very much make the difference. No? So we all know that data governance is always an issue. It has been since years, and probably it will be also in the future. And we were saying that data is a fuel of EI, and of course this is true. But maybe we can even reverse this sentence and say that EI is a tool for having better data. No, is a tool in which we can start from data that are unstructured, that are analogic, that include personal data that has errors in it, and through several actions that this set of technologies can do. Well, we can have something better at the end, no? So we can have more structured data, more digitized data, we can have anonymized data, and here we are just listing a few, but I guess here in the room you can also think about other possible uses of AI to get better data. We try to understand also what AI can do for this process, and this is the actions that you see there. This is, we will come back to this later. So what AI can do, it can structure the data, can clean the data, can translate the data, can detect the data or anomalies in the data, and so on and so forth. And of course, when talking about interoperability, we had, because this is interoperability, to take into account all the 4 layers of interoperability as described in the EIF. So the legal layer, the organizational layer, the semantic layer, and the technical layer. Now, what we did with all this information? Well, we started understanding the landscape on the EI and interoperability, because there is a landscape, a policy landscape around these 2 elements that is very broad and very rich. So we just discussed about the EI Act, the Interoperable Europe Act, and so on and so forth. There is a EIF. And we try to deep dive into it in 3 different ways. Let's say the first thing we did is we did a quantitative analysis. So you might not be aware, but we have a large database of use cases on the use of AI in the public sector that now is published under the Public Sector Tech Watch, that was also mentioned this morning. We try to analyze, okay, how many of these cases are actually dealing with the use of AI for interoperability. But we didn't stop at case detection, but we wanted to move into also case analysis. So we did case studies. We interviewed people that are dealing with this topic, try to understand which are the challenges, which are the benefits, how they made the process, how they made the AI solution work. And so we did this qualitative analysis. And of course, as we are trying to do science for policy, we conclude our report with a series of policy recommendations. I will guide you very quickly through all these stages because I don't have much time. I was mentioning that we have a lot of cases on the use of AI in the public sector. They're all published in open data, so if you're interested, I invite you to have a look at it. For this database, for this report, we analyzed more than 700 cases on AI in the public sector. And what we identified is that 189 cases out of these roughly 700 cases are related with AI for IOP. So 1/4 is not, we thought is an important number. So it means that 1/4 of the cases that in the public sector are using AI are actually using AI to support interoperability. This means that the public sector already made the first step in this direction, in this probably long journey that we have ahead of us. I'm not entering into details here because it's going to be very complex, but we also analyzed those 189 cases, try to understand what they do. So first of all, most of those cases detect anomalies, I don't know, maybe personal data that need to be anonymized and so on and so forth. Second, they structure, so they start from something more unstructured and they put it into something more structured. And third, they classify. And of course, I cannot miss the EIF layers and the importance of the EI in all the 4 interoperability layers, but especially, and I'm happy that also here in SEMIC we can say this, EI is giving a great support to semantic interoperability. So it's really helping to, together with the use of ontologies, to have data that are not only more structured, but are following a more clear, a more precise taxonomy. So that gives also the possibility to these data to be themselves more interoperable with other data sets. Now, of course, I will not show you and describe you entirely this table, but we also try to be as precise as possible. So you see there for all the actions we identified on EI, and for all the semantic, for the layers from the EIF, we try to clarify what EI can do. So how EI can support interoperability, we try to disentangle this question not only with a simple answer, but we also try to make our life more complex, so through a complex answer. So for each layer of the EIF, for each actions that EI can do, try to understand how EI can support interoperability. And here you find the final results of this exercise that I want to point once more that is not a theoretical exercise, but is an exercise based on the cases we analyze, so all real cases that exist in the public sector and that we detected through our observatory and case search. So the numbers you see there is a number of existing cases in the public sector that touch upon the crossing of the two elements, so the crossing of the EIF layers and the EI actions, as we call them. So that's also something important. No? So it's not a theoretical exercise, but it's really coming from practice. Then I will not tell you about our case studies and our interviews, not because I think are not important, but because we will have an entire panel afterwards. With, I have the pleasure to have here one of the representative of the case that have been described in this report, together with other cases that are working and doing this type of exercise of using EI for interoperability. So they will tell more than I can do about the challenges and the benefits on the use of EI for interoperability in their specific case. So these are the 7 cases we have in our report, but again, we found 189, so there are much more. And let me conclude quickly with the policy recommendations. So in this presentation, well, I just briefly explain you what we did, but well, which are the takeaways, no? So that's always important to understand, okay, what did we learn from doing this exercise? And what do we think that administrations can do and should do towards the use of EI for interoperability? Well, we discussed it already a lot today, that EI is not a technical matter anymore. So the first thing we highlight is the need of internal awareness. So public administration should really push towards internal awareness. So having public employees, public servants that are working on a daily basis, maybe together, or taking recommendation or using these technologies to have awareness on the risk and the benefits of EI. Then we cannot hide ourselves from this, from saying that EI is a complex matter, and EI management is complex. So we also have to acknowledge and a bit embrace this complexity in the public sector. So not saying that it's something easy, but it's something complex that needs discussion, needs people talking about it, needs more than one a multidisciplinary team, and so on and so forth. Third, collaboration, and this is of course key and was key in all the cases we identified. So public administration should really foster toward a more collaborative environment, and cross-border interoperability, going beyond our silos, breaking them, it's really crucial. And then we talked a lot about semantic interoperability. Well, semantic is key, and the use of EI we demonstrate that can move towards the use of more semantic EI, more semantic EI can bring more semantic interoperability. Then, of course, legal consideration should be there, and well, we discussed it a lot. And then the last but not least, probably element here is the upskilling. So there really needs in the public sector to upskill. So to learn a bit more about these technologies and to upskilling EI and in order to have EI and interoperability specialists into public administration, of course in collaboration with external suppliers. So this is it from our side. Let me finish saying that we have the Public Sector Tech Watch, that is observatory with all the cases published and a lot of information. There is a community behind. And also another community is our JRC community that we call it Innovation in Public Governance. So please subscribe here and follow us so we can stay in touch also in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Luca. And I hope it got a bit more into the details of what was promised a little bit this morning. So it's also one of these cases to showcase what we are doing at the JRC. We are the scientific support to the policymakers in Brussels and Luxembourg. And it's this kind of work we are doing. And I hope you found it interesting. And also, we are available for discussions at any time, also at the booth of the Commission. But indeed, let's now, after we got a bit more a theoretical overview and we got this appetizer that there are different cases for the use of AI for interoperability, let's now go to this practice. No? And let's also start filling up the seats over here. So I would like to introduce now our first panelist, Miquel Estape. He is a Deputy CIO and Chief Innovation and Data Officer of Open Government Catalonia, and he actually was interviewed for one of the cases that Luca just mentioned before. So please, Miquel, come up to stage. The floor is yours to introduce your case and your experience on AI for interoperability.
Thank you very much, Sven, for the introduction and the invitation to be here. And let me say first, congratulate to the great work done by the Joint Research Center and by Luca, Jaume, and all the team. Thank you very much for this work that's very helpful for governments. So I'm going to explain a use case, a real use case that combines social services, interoperability, and advanced automation systems. But first of all, let me introduce who I am representing. I am representing the Open Government of Catalonia. Basically, we are a digital government agency that we will provide digital services to more than 2,000 public authorities in Catalonia, local, regional, university, and many other agencies. And basically, what we do is we deliver a government as a platform solutions. To summarize, it's about not reinventing the wheel. Whenever there is a common need about a digital public services, what we do is we deliver a common solution for all or for most of the governments of Catalonia. We are managing on a daily basis 1.3 million of transactions from citizens, from companies, from public employees, from elected officials. And one of the services in our portfolio is a social service information system that is used by almost 100 municipalities. On the other side, we also provide an interoperability platform that is connected, that connects all governments within Catalonia, but also is connected with the central government, and we are managing about 80 million of data sharing every year. So that's the introduction. Let's go to the case. It's about the energy poverty use case. This is the current situation here in Spain. According to the Spanish law, the energy and water supply cannot be cut off for families facing social and economic issues. So the current process is that we have in Catalonia more than 50 supply companies that communicate every month a list of people with unpaid bills to the municipalities. The municipalities have to verify the situations of all these families, and they reply back to the companies with the families, the ones that are at risk, and the supply cannot be cut off. In order to do that, the municipalities have to go to all these families and request for the consent to verify the situation. So there is a first step, and we have quite a lot of families that are in that situation, about more than 200,000 families in that situation. Whenever the municipality has the consent from the family, they can go to the different official registers from different governments, local, regional, and central, to verify if the family fulfills the requirements to get this social benefit. So this is the current situation, and the truth is that it's not efficient at all. Let me go into the detail. First of all, unfortunately, we have a good legislation in terms of respecting the individual rights, but this legislation doesn't define any standards, any interoperability standards. So companies are using different channels and different formats, and that's obviously it's a big issue. Second, all the consent from the people is collected on paper. So citizens have to go to government offices to sign to provide that consent. This is time-consuming and also has a very low response rate from citizens. Moreover, the authorization process to get this connection with the different official databases is very complex, and bear in mind that most of the municipalities are very small with low capabilities. So the legal process and the integration process takes a lot of time for them, usually months. And finally, the municipality, whenever they has the consent and have all this information gathered from the different official registers, they have to process that and verify what is the situation of the family, which is currently done in a pretty much manual process, which is, again, costly and slow. The result is that, according to some reports, that more than 50% the people that are entitled to the social benefit are not receiving it. And actually, we have some court sentences mandating the municipalities to become much more efficient because individual rights are not respected. So that's the current situation. We've been working on a pilot to overcome some of these issues. We've been working for the last couple of years, and this pilot combines a robot process automation process, a business process management solution, an interoperability with the different official registers, and getting the online consent from citizens. We are working with quite a lot of local governments. There are 6 that are live, 6 municipalities which have this process in production. Bear in mind, take in consideration the complexity of the process. For some situations, for some families, we have to manage about 30 different verifications, which is a lot. And we are pretty happy about the results because the success rate is about 90%. To get these results, we have developed a central solution with all these integrations to all the official registers from the different governments. So we're happy about that, but we think that we can improve it quite a lot. What is our long-term solution that we are going to propose to the different governments who have competencies in this matter? Well, we believe that the regulation should define the interoperability standards. That's clear. I mean, all the morning we've been talking about that. It may sound stupid, but we don't have it right now. We also believe that we have to develop or create a one-stop shop for all the companies, a hub where all this information exchange between companies and municipalities can be concentrated. And of course, we have to provide easy integrations for companies and for municipalities. Second, we think we should evaluate a regulation change in terms of the consent. This can be quite controversial, but the thing is that what is more important here, it's about the privacy or it's about the safety of the people. And for instance, we had an issue a few years ago that an old woman died because the energy supply was cut off. And so basically, what we think is that we should evaluate the consent by default for this specific situation, and it should be very easy for citizens to withdraw the consent. But I understand that this could create some debate. Besides, we think that we should look at the authorization process to connect to the different official registers. Now it's very, very complicated. We think we can simplify it as long as we define a central solution to manage all these integrations. And finally, as we did in the pilot, we think that the solution is provide a government as a service solution, so every municipality doesn't develop it on its own. That includes all these functionalities, robot process, automation, business process management, online consent, integration with different official databases, which would make the system much cheaper and faster than it needs to date. With all these actions in place, we believe that we could increase the take-up, the social benefit take-up from less than 50% to near the 100%. So therefore, we could fulfill the citizens' rights. So that's our experience. We are very happy about that. We think we are drawing a new future in terms of government and efficiency, and I'm happy to answer all your questions later on. Thank you.
Exactly. Please take a seat. Thanks a lot, Miguel. It was fantastic to really see what is behind these cases. Now we talk about these numbers, 700, 186, etc., etc. But really learning a bit more from your case in particular is really providing a lot of insights, which kind of processes can still be optimized and where both interoperability and AI can really provide a step change and help citizens also really being able to claim their rights. We will now move to a second case, which was not covered in our report, so it's a new one. There is a 187 now, fantastic. So please, Juan Miguel, come already to the stage. Juan Miguel is a data scientist at GMV, and GMV is a tech business group based on private investment. So he brings not the public sector point of view, but more a business point of view. So please, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sven, for the nice introduction. Thanks to SEMIC for the invitation, for this nice event. So here, similar to Luca, I'm going to introduce a work that we have done with the GRC, a report. We have published last month a report that deals with entitled Technological Enabler for Privacy-Preserving Data Sharing and Analysis. Here, I will just spend 5-6 slides. I will start commenting what this means, and I will finish with a practical implementation, okay? Something that is happening today. So, well, I have another screen there. Just here you have the report you can download, and just to introduce which was the goal of our work. The goal was to perform an analysis as a state-of-the-art of some privacy-enhancing technology. I will introduce what this means, covering the state of the art, what's happening with the privacy, because always the key point is going to be, I think that I have here a pointer. Here is to share and process data. We are here talking about interoperability. We are here talking about data spaces. We are talking about sharing data in somehow. But what happens with my privacy? So this is what we have covered in this work. What happened to my privacy when I use artificial intelligence services? Just, I'm going to introduce some questions. First example, every day we use artificial intelligence services. ChatGPT or smartphones, when we use our email client, and sometimes for my own purposes, I want to use these external artificial intelligence services. And what is happening? What is happening that I am a data consumer and I am sending some data to an external services, and afterwards they give me, this external service, give me a response that is going to be used for my own purposes, but what's happened with the data that I have sent? Sometimes they say, no, don't worry about your data. It's going to be here very secure. Well, but you don't have the control. That is the key point. You don't have the control. Another example, for example, in the healthcare domain. You know that in the healthcare domain, sometimes for research, I need personal data, patient data, because the more data, that is more healthcare data, sometimes less bias in the research. So something that would be very nice is to collaborate between different institutions, between different organizations with different roles, data provider, data intermediary, data consumer. But what's happening here? What is happening is that it's not very easy to share data because, as we are aware, that this kind of data has a special category in the GDPR. So we are talking here about interoperability, and it's not very easy, it's very, very complex to share data in these scenarios. So how can we achieve a trustworthy artificial intelligence? Privacy-enhancing technology can help us to respond to this question. I'm going to use a definition by the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, and what they say, I prefer to use their definition is, privacy-enhancing technology are a kind of coherent system of information and communication technologies, measures that protect privacy by eliminating or reducing personal data, blah, 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 and without losing the functionality. Remember the first example. The first example is, I want to use these external artificial intelligence services. Obviously, I cannot say that we are not going to use that because every day we see new applications. But I want to have control of what is happening. I want to have control of my data. Here, the privacy-enhancing technology can give us this opportunity. Here in this work, we invest a lot of effort to make a state-of-the-art of the different privacy-enhancing technology, because the point is that not all of them are for the same purposes. There are secure multi-party computation, federated learning, differential privacy, homomorphic encryption, a lot of them with different purposes, and sometimes even you have to combine them always with the goal of preserving your privacy without losing your functionality. And I want just to remark that this is not something that will happen in the future. It's something that is happening right now. I will show you a project that we are doing right now, today. Here I say a real implementation, that is Tartaglia project. This project is funded by the Artificial Intelligence Research and Development Mission from Spain. And here we have several public organizations in the healthcare domain. We have the Valdebron for providing and also research data. We have technological enablers like GMB. We have researchers like Barcelona Supercomputing Center or Universidad Complutense de Madrid. And we are building a federated network with the goal of accelerate the implementation of artificial intelligence. Luca has mentioned today different layers of interoperability. Imagine here what is happening when we want to exchange data for accelerate the implementation of artificial intelligence services in this scenario where several data providers are involved. The first, the legal layer, is unbelievable. I don't want to pay too much time on that, but the semantic layer. Some of the use cases that we have is related with the cancer diagnosis. Okay, what is happening? What is happening is that some healthcare centers have a procedure that maybe is not the same than the other one. So we cannot share. We have to preserve the interoperability. So what we are doing is to invest a lot of effort to use a common data model, to use a set of taxonomies and ontologies to have the same understanding, very important. And also, because the privacy is a key concept, we are using technologies such as federated learning to train artificial intelligence model in a federated way. That is, we don't share the data from the patients. What we are sharing is an artificial intelligence model. There are risks about that, but the risks are much lower. Some use cases, we are investing, we are doing some research in early diagnosis of clinical significant prostate cancer, Alzheimer's disease, predictive model for automatic screen. This is something that is happening now, and I just wanted to remark that the interoperability, the privacy, some of these concepts that we are talking today are here. And that is all, Sven.
Thank you so much, Juan Miguel. That was fantastic, because we did hear during this morning about the importance to get the access to the underlying data to be able to run artificial intelligence models. But indeed, if we talk trustworthiness, the protection of privacy is one of the pivotal points, and we just saw how a solution can be provided. Excellent. So we had the first case looking more at the regional level and energy. We had a second one which was more looking into healthcare use cases and data privacy. And now we will move again to the city level with Ernesto Fobel. He's the head of the Smart City Office in the municipality of Valencia, but he's also responsible for the TEF, one of the TEF projects, the Testing Europe facility, and this is especially on the one of applying AI to smart cities and communities. So please, the floor is yours. Go ahead, Ernesto.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation to the Municipality of Valencia to be here, so as to explain or to present this Sitcom AI project in which we are involved. Good afternoon to everyone. Let's start with this project, whose name is Sitcom AI, and it's about applying artificial intelligence to smart cities. So this belongs, as you can see here, to the Digital European program that has, the program considers artificial intelligence as a crucial engine for the digital transformation of both public and private sectors. So the Commission knows that it's very relevant. In other countries and regions in the world, they are applying, and this is a kind of idea to promote artificial intelligence in a controlled environment in Europe with different objectives. One is the deployment of infrastructures, mainly in cloud. Another is related to data. And the third one is related to the deployment of TEFs. So this is why we are here in this project. But let's start with defining what's a TEF. TEF is the acronym for Testing and Experimentation Facility. So it combines both physical and virtual equipment. So it has a site, a physical seat. In this case, one of the nodes are in Valencia, and we are going to talk about the whole structure of the project. But this is a first feature of a TEF. In these TEFs, we are going to carry out some experiments and tests at a high level of complexity. And one of the main features is that these experiments could have been carried out in laboratories, but not in the real world. And this is one of the reasons because these TEFs are associated in a way with living labs. In each TEF site should be in a living lab. So we have one in Valencia, and we are in the process of having another one in the network of living labs in Europe. But this is a feature of this kind of equipment and facilities. And related to that, the Commission launched 4 TEFs, 4 thematic TEFs related to 4 different sectors. First one is related to health. TEF Health is focused in that topic. Another one, A Matters, is focused on manufacturing. The third one is for agri-food. And the fourth one is Sitcom AI, focused on smart cities and communities. And this is the one in which I'm going to focus the presentation, because the project in which the municipality of Valencia is involved. As you can see here, we have in this project 3 supernodes in Europe. The first one is the Nordic, with Denmark, Sweden, and Finland. The second one is the central supernode, with main seat in Belgium, but with also sub-seats in the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and France. And last but not least, we have the South Supernode with the main seat in Valencia, in Spain, but also with partners in Italy, Poland, and Germany. And each one of these 3 supernodes are focused on one topic. The Nordic one is focused on energy, mainly. The central one is focused on mobility, and ours is more, let me say, more generalistic, because we are focused on smart city as a whole. So we are dealing with use cases related to mobility, but also with energy ones, and others from a broader perspective that are related to smart cities. This is the one in which the municipality of Valencia is the coordinator of this supernode. And here you can see the map of the South Supernode. Having a look at the map, probably you agree with me that we hope that we will be better at artificial intelligence rather than at geography, because Germany and Poland, it's quite difficult for me to integrate them in the south of Europe. But I think that is because of we are the rest of. So first is the Nordics, second the central one, and the rest of Europe, but they have named us as South Supernode, in which we have partners mainly in Valencia, the municipality and Las Naves, that is our innovation center, that belongs to the municipality. The 2 main public universities, that is UPV and UV. 2 very relevant companies, IT companies in Valencia, Nunsis and S2 Group, that is focused on cybersecurity, and Libelium, Hopu Libelium, that is very with high expertise in terms of standardization and smart cities in general. We have also 2 other countries with partners related to the academia. In Italy, we have Polimilano, and in Poland, we have Warsaw Technical University. And we have also a partner in Germany, but it's not a partner like the rest, because Fireware Foundation is mainly focused in standardization. So in the technical part of this project, and it's a cross-cutting partner. It's not only working in the South Supernode, but also in the rest. So here you have the partners, and let me show you some facts about, some figures about the project. This is a 5-year project. Initially, it started 1st of January of this year. It's expected to finish at the end of 2027. We have some relevant milestones. For example, 1st January of 2024, we are paving the path for the open for business. So it's a complex concept, but we should be starting with the process of carrying out some experiments, in at least 1 experiment in each of the supernodes, in each of the sites. The budget of the project is by 4 million for the 3 supernodes, funded 50% by the Digital European program. For the South Supernode, we have close to 11 million, and it's a very complex project because we have 36 partners from 11 different countries. And what it's about, as I have said before, our supernode is focused on a smart city, and we have here some of the use cases about we are dealing with them initially. Some of them are related to mobility, others related to energy, as I have said before, but also cases related to waste collection, circular economy, nature-based solutions. So it's a very wide scope. But also working with issues related to the environment. Taking advantage of this, I would like to say that Valencia is one of the 100 climate neutral mission cities, and we are even selected as one of the 10th that are going to lead the process in Europe. So we are really committed with that, and we are orienting most of our policies in the municipality to this climate mission. And also, we are going to carry out some use cases related to participation. And as we are in a forum in which we are dealing with concepts as interoperability and trustworthy, I have included some data, some information about these aspects, because we are one of the work packages that we have in the project is the technical one. And one of the main tasks is related to interoperability. And we are working with the concept of MIMS. MIMS, as you may know, is minimum interoperable mechanisms that initially have been proposed by OASC, Open and Agile Smart Cities. And we are using them. In our case, we have the Orion Context Broker because our platform is fireware-based, and NGSI LD interface. And related to MIM number 2, that is focused on data, is related to the process of standardization, data ontologies, taxonomies. We are using fireware data models, and we are starting to work with a project related to data spaces. So it's we expect to be a pioneer project in Spain, this issue. And, but if we have a look at the rest of the MIMs, some of them could be related to the aspects that we are dealing with Trustworthy, that is in the next slide. But we have, for example, MIM number 4 that is related to personal data, and MIM number 5 is related to fair artificial intelligence. So we have a MIM specifically devoted to artificial intelligence. And from a broader perspective, we are trying to interconnect all the city platforms from the cities that are involved in the project. So it's a challenge, but we are trying to make some even connectors so as to have this working. To finish with, related to Trustworthy, it's a very complex, as you know, even more after hearing all the information that you have shared with us during the session. But one of the main things for us is the explainability that is related to this MIM number 5 for fair artificial intelligence. So explaining why we have obtained these outcomes starting from this information. So this is very relevant. And we have also different tasks related to that in the project, one related to ethics and another one in the technical work package related to cybersecurity. And that's all from my side. Thank you for the attention, and let's start the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ernesto. So really, we now already saw quite a few different elements. No? We started really going a little bit beyond just the tip of the iceberg. So you saw this overview of the report from Luca and the many cases and got some numbers. But we were also looking into a few concrete cases, actually, from Spain in particular, but also making the connection to the European context. We're looking into these both examples, but we now also, just in the last presentation, saw how these facilities to also experiment with new solutions are becoming set up, and that they actually also, in providing these experimentation spaces for a whole range of different thematic areas, inbuilt, there is already the components with the minimum interoperability mechanisms to look into interoperability, and it's also inbuilt to have these components looking more into trustworthiness of AI, into privacy preserving technology, etc., etc. So I hope with this we could disentangle a little bit of the entire complexity, although at the same time this may be a session where you come with less questions than you have at the end. But I hope you really liked it so far, and we will now move to the more dynamic part of the session, and I would really like to ask our next speaker to the floor. This is Lucia Irandonea, working at Global Studio. Actually, it's an SME, and she is working actually as an expert and project manager in the area of innovation and GovTech. So I think one of the important discussions we have is actually how to work together with SMEs, how to enable solutions fit for public administration in the area of AI and interoperability, but have these solutions developed within Europe and also look particular into startups, scale-ups, and SMEs, and really see how they could flourish with all these challenges that come towards us and helping to develop solutions. So Lucia, maybe you can say a few words about your own work, of course, but then also what do you take actually when you're listening to these three gentlemen here? And also if you have questions to them, please feel free to already ask.
Thank you, Sven, and thank you for having me. This is a pleasure, and thank you for the wonderful presentations that we had today. So as Sven mentioned, I'm working in the GovTech ecosystem here, leading, in Madrid, leading a project that is called GovTech Lab Madrid, and we work together with SMEs and startup solutions to bring together these solutions to public administrations in the regional government of Madrid. So having this, sorry for the long introduction, but this was just to set the stage. One thing that I'm seeing in my work, in my daily work, is that public administration is screaming and they are asking for AI solutions. So I think that one thing that is happening is that, as Luca mentioned, there are not many awareness, or there is a little awareness of how these AI solutions can have like a risk or the risk of implementing these kind of solutions. So one thing that I'm seeing, and this is something that maybe I could ask you, is how these, in your fields, how are you trying to get more awareness to the teams, the IT teams, and the teams in public administrations, on how to deal with these risks that are happening on privacy, biases, security, and so on. The other thing that I think that is key is procurement. I think that procurement is the best tool that we have now to push harder on standardization and integration of different solutions. So in this sense, how are you working in this procurement criteria and the selection criteria, not only for the interoperability points of view, but also on the awareness, on the security, on the privacy, on even, and if you are thinking on putting some criteria requirements on algorithmic audits. So this is more or less the questions. Thank you very much, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Who wants to go first? You're Ernesto? Yeah, please, of course.
How does it work?
Or maybe.
It should already work, no? Let's go ahead.
Yes. Well, first of all, I would, before your questions, you have mentioned some things about the SMEs. Well, I haven't had enough time to explain all the concept of TEF, but we expect to have clients. And within these clients, we have different types of clients. One of them could be cities. And for this, we have the excellent multiplier of the Spanish network of smart cities, for example, in Spain, that is working with more than 140 cities. And all the things that we are doing in the TEF, we are carrying out in the TEF, they are expectant about this. So this could be one of the clients. But another one could be SMEs and AI innovators. And we are defining a catalog of services, because this project is consists on creating a TEF that, after the project, will be sustainable and economically sustainable. So this is one concept that maybe should have been explained. Regarding the way in which we are using the procurement, I would like to highlight that it's not specifically for artificial intelligence clauses, but it's for smart city, but some of them are related also with artificial intelligence. We are using what we name as smart clauses. So we are including in the contracts, but in the contracts, general contracts for waste collection, for the control of mobility, for whatever, we are including in all the contracts some small clauses that consist on, well, in the contract we put an additional clause that is related to where you have to deploy these kind of sensors, and you have to send the information in that way to the urban platform. So we are defining in a way the requirements that we need for the interoperability within their systems and ours. And this a thing that I would like to highlight related to procurement.
Mm-hmm. Perfect, thank you.
Well, just first regarding the first part of your question, well, I would say that a small and medium enterprise, when they want to start to work with artificial intelligence services, I would say that, okay, there are a lot of artificial intelligence services out there. So please, let's focus on reusability. I mean, today, I see that every day, for example, a large language model is published. You don't have to build something from scratch. That is not the way. Please try to use something external, something stable, something that is tested, because starting from scratch is very hard. And in the world of artificial intelligence, I mean, artificial intelligence is not new, it's not a new technology, but we are seeing right now the biggest application after several years. So I would say, okay, reuse what is outside. And if you don't know, please ask for help, because there are a lot of artificial intelligence community with this goal. Also, the second part of your comment, the procurement, well, in somehow, I would say that is related with my talk, because there are some risks that they have to be considered. The target audience, that is important, which is the goal, which is the audience. Because, for example, if you have to work with personal data, you have to consider some points that from the beginning would be out of your scope. But this is a risk. This is something that you have to consider. And that is all. I mean, that is my opinion regarding your points.
Excellent.
Yeah, very, very quickly, just to add a few things. In terms of the awareness, which is a big topic, because, I mean, AI is providing us amazing opportunities, but at the same time is going to generate a huge risk. So we have to make understand to all our teams about both opportunities and risks. And that means basically building an AI trustworthy framework that we have to follow. So if we have more opportunities and more risks, we have to take extra measures. We have to do extra effort. And so that means in terms of quality control, in terms of human supervision, in terms about the transparency of the algorithms, it is about conduct regular audits, using certified algorithms always as possible, having feedback from users to detect any issue as soon as possible, and also something that it doesn't depend on us, but we really rely on the initiative from the Europe and Spain, having an independent supervisor to give us guidelines, good practices, and so on. So we can go into the details later on, but we have to build this framework. We have to apply it in all our artificial intelligence solutions. And in terms of procurement, let me just focus on one thing. I mean, there is a lot of innovation that comes from small companies. And we are a small organization. We are just 80 people, and we provide services to all these 2,000 public authorities. Basically, we scout the market to find what are these innovation applications, practices, and solutions. For instance, we follow the Gov reports. They produce a very nice report about some of these innovative solutions from small companies. And then when we do the procurement, we do the tendering, we take that into consideration. We start always with a proof of concept, small one. So usually we do several proof of concept, then some pilots. So small companies can get access or can apply to these tenders. And this has been very successful for us. I understand that this approach is not that easy for big organizations, but for us it's working very fine.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your answers. Like one more thing, I think that in this sense about procurement that you mentioned, small companies are more keen to adapt because they want to get in and they have like very specific solutions that you can incorporate or include in your services. So this is something that I wanted to like highlight, but thank you very much.
Thank you for this first round. So we're really seeing now going a little bit more into the perspective of the solution providers. We also see again another portfolio of challenges emerging, including procurement, but also the use then of standard clauses, etc., etc. This could be a topic for a whole other discussion, but thanks already a lot for that. What we would like to do now is also to complete the panel, is to ask also Marzia Moratti from Polimi, Polytechnic University of Milan, and she's coming from the design department. So really with a background on designing public services and co-design of public services. So far we were a lot discussing about the public sector and the private sector to a degree, but we are missing the academic angle to it. So Marzia, what do you take out of the discussion so far, and do you also have questions for our panelists?
Sure. Thank you, Sven, and thanks again for the invitation, but also thanks to the very nice presentations that we had in this panel just now, but also in the other presentations that I heard this morning. There certainly is a huge richness in everything that we are hearing here today, and we can certainly agree on the fact that AI for interoperability is a crucial topic in all the facets that regard digital transformation for the public sector nowadays. So certainly what I see in my academic job that is also part of not only researching what are the opportunities and risks behind these new technologies for digital transformation in the public sector, but also educating about these new technologies, is that there are many opportunities that we are hearing about, like automating public services, making them more efficient, bringing them closer to the needs of citizens, but also many different points of reflections that we need to raise and keep on discussing together. So certainly in a digital environment, we know that we cannot do things as usual. We cannot translate into a virtual and digital world what we used to do offline. And that's a truth that we are all aware of. But this also means that when it comes to AI, the translation of our practices needs to be a bit more radical, and we need to be extra cautious on what we do. So here we are talking about interoperability. In the cases, we heard a lot about technical issues, semantic, which remain super relevant. But another point that is very important for me is the organizational interoperability, for instance, and how much the adoption of these new technologies really brings us to think about a completely radically new role for the public sector that needs to, in a certain sense, use these technologies to be better placed to serve the citizens for which the public sector is there. And hence, my first point of reflection that I want to share with the speakers, that is about user centricity. And this also comes from my own background, being a design researcher, which, as many of you probably know, is an approach to designing services that it's known for putting the needs of people first and putting those needs at the center of the problem-solving process that we conduct. So the first point of reflection would be about how do we ensure that the values or the needs of citizens are central, and therefore that we adopt all the technical solutions that we already have available nowadays for creating value for the citizens first and foremost. And therefore, how can we mean or speak about user centricity beyond making interfaces more usable, more user-friendly? And then the second point of reflection, of course, talking about people, humans, and their values, is about ethics. And so it would be nice to hear from the speakers what their point of view is and how do they ensure, or what do they think about how can we ensure that the values that we deem relevant are present in these systems.
Excellent. Who is brave enough to be first?
Me first? Well, first, I would like to highlight the fact that when you start talking about artificial intelligence in an organization such as the municipality, in my case, the third city in Spain in terms of population, so it sounds weird. So if we start about talking about artificial intelligence, we are freaks directly. So initially there's reluctances. So and they will not be eager to apply this to their day-to-day tasks. So first we have to overcome this barrier that is not easy. Any cultural change in an organization is difficult, but maybe this is even worse because we have a lot of previous information, background information that is creating even noise because of that. So initially, it's created a kind of reluctancy that is not good for that, because we know that artificial intelligence is used for different very good purposes. But on the media, what are you watching? So all bad things. So initially, we will have to carry out a process of education or conscientization, so as to have them on board, at least not to have as enemies. And then after that, we will go step by step and go to the next one. But first, we have to start with this, and I guess that it will not be easy this journey.
Well, what to say? Your both reflections are very complex. That's true. They are very complex. What I have seen is that we are migrating from a data-centric application to user-centric application. But what I see that we are not still in that point. We have to navigate to be there. And the point is that it's not very easy because we don't know sometimes we don't know what the citizens want. But that's true that what I would like is to use the artificial intelligence services without knowing that I am using artificial intelligence services, because that would be unbelievable. I mean, nowadays I go to my mobile phone, I go on a transaction via Visum. Behind that, there are some kind of very difficult magic, but for me it's, very easy. That is what I want, that is what I would like, okay? And also, your second reflection regarding the ethics, and also very complex, because we are talking about artificial intelligence that implies sometimes deep learning model with a lot of layers, some kind of artificial intelligence architecture that are very, very complex. So what is happening is that the predictions are a kind of black box. Well, I think that you are experimenting with this kind of black box prediction. When you are using ChatGPT, for example, sometimes they say there is a phenomenon called hallucinations. There is a real problem. And what I am seeing that a lot of investment to reduce this kind of hallucinations that in somehow is related with the bias that our deep learning model or artificial intelligence is learning from us, from our story, because we are human beings and we have a story, and deep learning artificial intelligence solutions are just learning what we have done during these years.
Yes. Well, the first one about the user centricity you mentioned. I mean, for us, I'm really glad this question. For us, this is a key concept. I mean, becoming user centricity or becoming a government user centric, it means becoming innovative. If we attend the citizens' demands issues and expectations, we will be innovative for sure. So that's, for us, it's essential to have a user-centricity strategy. And we have one in place that is documented in our website. But I must say that it's very, very hard to imply because it means a big change in the culture of governments. Governments are managed in the way that they try to fix their own problems first, and then the citizens second. And changing the order is extremely hard, extremely tough. But that's part of my job, yeah? And I'm really glad I have it. What is this methodology? Basically, trying to summarize, basically it's 3 steps. First, active listening. Have different tools, different ways that you have the voice from the users, from the customer, from the clients, from the citizens, and so on. So we have different solutions there. For instance, we conduct about 400,000 surveys from the users every year. The top part is to analyze all that data. For instance, we have a feedback platform, which is an open feedback platform. You can go now and you can see what the citizens are saying about our solutions, how can be improved. And so we try to reply to all of them that at least have 10 support from the communities. So that's the first step, active listening. There are more things, more actions in that area, conducting workshops, analyzing the behavior of the citizens in our users, and so on. That's the first area. The second area is about co-designing and co-creation of solutions with the end users. And again, we have a lot of experience from the private sector, especially from startups that we are learning from. And finally, it's about every time we co-design a solution, we prototype that, we test with end users, we do iteration process, we start with a minimum viable project and solution, and we move on. So that is basically our general methodology we try to apply to our services. But at the very end, how do we know if we're really user-centric? So we have to measure, we have to evaluate, and we are very bad at that at governments, at least in Spain. So in the use case that I explained before, what is the key measure? And for us is the social benefit take-up. How many users, how many families get this social benefit? How many of them that they are entitled to get them? And now it's less than 50%. With our pilots, it's more than 90%. Well, that's our key measure, and that is what it forces us to move forward. On the other side, about the ethics, we like to talk about ethics and trust. First of all, I might say from government side is that there is a double standard. Whenever we have all these questions, I have the feeling that in the private sector, they have a different legislation. And it's not true. The GDPR is the same for the public and the private sector. It's the same for TikTok, it's the same for Instagram, it's the same for Netflix than it is for a government. And they all do profiles and they all do personalized services. And in government, nobody's that because we are scared of doing profiles. We have no experience on that, but it's the same regulation. But apart of this double standard, one of the tools that we think will be very helpful to build trust and guarantee this ethical use of algorithms is this algorithm transparency register that we have put in place, we have implemented. We have been inspired by the work of Amsterdam and Helsinki. We've been looking around other experiences. We found very, very few. Yeah, we are looking forward to the Looker report about other experiences. So there is a lot of blah, blah, blah about algorithm transparency and very few work done. And what does this register? Well, we have as a government to detail all the process about how the algorithm works. How is the training done? What data do we use? How we guarantee the privacy? How we make this algorithm accountable? What are the risks that we have identified? What action have we taken to minimize the risk? Well, I think this is a very good start, to build this trust for citizens.
Thank you. Just to finish this round of questions, I think there is a lot of food for thought, and we could go on discussing on these topics forever. But let me just say that I'm super happy that we've been able in this panel to combine co-design and user centricity in this way with these topics of interoperability, AI, that used to be very technical, while I think that the human perspective needs to be included increasingly. And I'm super happy that your practices show this. So thank you. Thank you very much.
And maybe there is also one additional element. You were talking about user-centric, but what is more and more used nowadays is human-centric. So actually also the engagement of the civil servants and the people from the organization, in addition to the citizens and businesses receiving benefits, is yet another aspect. And that's maybe a way to start approaching the required organizational changes and also the upskilling of personnel or reskilling of personnel to be able to deal with AI to the benefit for interoperability and to the benefit of better public services as the ultimate goal. Thank you very much. I think we covered a lot of things, at least we scratched it. And as I said, I hope we managed to get a bit more into the practices and into the many details of all these complexities of the topic of AI, interoperability, and the public sector. What I would like to ask each of you, you can agree on the order, is have a final statement of what you take out from today. So what is your main learning? If now somebody would ask you, we heard about your conference at SEMIC, AI, interoperability, public sector, but what should I do if I want to learn more? What would be the steps I should take myself as a public administration? So here is a big challenge. Who is the bravest to go first?
This time the last one, please.
Okay, you're volunteering to who is last. That's also a good approach.
If you want, I can start. About learning more, I can certainly say something about the AI for Gov master project that I'm a vice director of, Gianluca Misuraka is director of, who is in the public, and we are delivering this training that is about, stewarding our participants coming from many different governance levels in understanding what does it mean to adopt AI in the public services and what does it mean to adopt this human-centric approach to using AI in the public service. So that's certainly one way in which one can decide to learn more. And if I had to say, my takeaway of the panel would be about one sentence that I'm using a lot lately, but I think really deals with the complexity of the many issues that we're facing nowadays, that is, be good enough. Don't try to be perfect. Because if you try to be perfect, you don't leave enough room for others to enter in the picture and participate. So this idea of being good enough, I think, could be applied also to these experimentations and different ways in which we are trialing and adopting these new and complex solutions in the public sector. This could be also a very good way to show that the public sector is very innovative and there is a lot of ambitions in doing more and better.
Excellent. Ernesto, Lucia.
Yes. Me?
Ernesto first, okay.
So if we want to offer to the citizenship innovative new services applying artificial intelligence, we have a lot of things to do before so as to create this atmosphere of trustworthy. The technology is here to help, not to invite your privacy. And so first, let's work in the back office, and then once we have carried out this process of convincing the organization inside, then we will be able to offer these services. But first, let's have some back office work.
I think that here. Well, I'm very glad of this conference because I wasn't aware of all these innovative solutions that the public administration are fostering and promoting, and all the strategies that you are getting as public administrations, and you too, in terms of interoperability and AI. That is very important. I'm an activist in AI, so I'm always concerned about this because I'm also a citizen. Yeah, I know that's shocking, but I'm a citizen. That so in this sense, I think that having these public administrations that are thinking and considering all these issues, well, it's a really nice sign of well, a good future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So
yes, I will continue. Well, I have learned several things. Well, first one, your report, very nice report. So I'm going to download and read carefully, because what I have learned is that interoperability is here. There are an ongoing initiative like the one that you have shown, and it's not something that will be in the future. It's something that we are doing right now. And it's true that it's not simple. We are here talking about sometimes the world of ideas. And sometimes when we are working on ideas, it's like, okay, but I want to touch with my fingers. But we are almost there. We are close. We are investing a lot of effort to touch the interoperability, to touch the artificial intelligence solution with our fingers. And something that, well, I'm not going to say that I have learned, but it's important to remark that we have to go step by step. I prefer to fail instead of not doing anything. So let's go. Don't worry. Yes, we are working in innovation. So innovation is what it is. I mean, there are issues, there are doubts, but if we don't invest, we are not going to be capable of developing these nice interoperability artificial intelligence solutions.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Michael,
And
please.
finally, from a practitioner point of view, my main conclusion is that we are facing many challenges, great opportunities, great risks at the same time. And we are facing also something that we haven't mentioned, that is the competition of China and USA in artificial intelligence, which are developing all the most powerful algorithms. And I think the answer to all of these challenges is Europe. It's much more Europe. So we really rely, from this, my point of view, we really rely on having more work done from Europe in different ways. For instance, on defining a governance framework. It is managing complexity that was mentioned before. It's very difficult to be managed on our own. We need Europe to give us this governance framework. For instance, about the regulation, we really are very keen on the Data Act, the Data Governance Act, the Artificial Intelligence Act, the Interoperability Act. They are really helping us to move forward. And also about the research and about all these reports that are very inspiring and give us a guidance and give us good practices that we can follow while we don't reinvent the wheel. And then at the very end is that we have to work together more within Europe to overcome and to succeed with all these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. These were really almost fantastic closing words, a great call for European collaboration. However, while we are approaching the end of the session, I don't want to leave you without hearing from our colleagues from the beginning. So actually, we wanted to get back to Luca, maybe, to say a few words what you are taking out, because you were presenting the report that the colleagues were publishing very recently. But now you also saw a few more things today. So what is your main takeaway?
We have to write another report.
Very good idea.
Because we got a lot of new insight. Well, thank you. I think it was very inspiring also for us. Well, my main takeaway, if I can say that, is that I think we are entering a bit in a new phase with the use of artificial intelligence. Is the phase of implementation. So I think now if I were hearing from you and hearing all the challenges, the discussion you had, you were talking about reusability, about overcoming cultural barriers, about feedback from the citizen and feedback platform on the solution that the citizens are using, or are dealing with. We're talking about evaluation. So all these topics are topics of implementation. And this probably means that AI is now making a step forward in our public administrations, and definitely the use of AI for interoperability is one of the main pillars on the use of AI in the public sector. So I think that is very important, and together with that, it comes the fact that we are, and given it is new, is also unknown. So we have to also somehow acknowledge the fact that this is unknown. And that's why this type of panels or people sharing the experience is really important, because when you're dealing with something unknown, it's important that everyone that discovers something, a small piece, put it together and share it with everyone in order to make the unknown a bit more known. So I think Well, this is my very brief takeaway for today, and thank you very much again. It was very inspiring, and thank you also for acknowledging our report. I really appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much, Luca. This will also be one of the big challenges for the scientific support to policy making, because now we saw a phase where a lot of digital policies were put into place and the implementation is going on. No? So actually, what does it also mean to provide scientific evidence to implementation will be another challenge to come. Then, Alessandra, do you have a few minutes to spare? Then we close with you. We started with you, we close with you. Please, what are your takeaways from this afternoon session?
Thank you very much, Sven, and congratulations for a very rich and a very nice panel. I've been working in AI for many years, and I think this has brought a new dimension to the whole problem. I think in many ways we look at AI for interoperability either from the public servant or from the citizen. But we have to remember there are two sides, and I think all the discussions in this panel have shown very clearly that there is the side that the report is showing of how AI can support interoperability in public services by helping public civil servants to do their job faster, better, and we have seen that 26% of the collected cases used AI for interoperability in the public sector, and out of those, 90% used AI for semantic interoperability, and that's really something really important to take away. On the other hand, we have the AI for interoperability and the AI dimension from the citizen's perspective. And I think here this user centricity and the fact that when we create services, whatever they are, that we always keep the citizen in our minds remains as the focal point. So we're talking about trustworthy AI, and I take away this human centricity and the humanness of the citizen that we are supporting through the work that we are doing. And I think that is something that is a message to be carried away. Either we are working on the technology or we are working on creating synergies so that we can have test infrastructures before launching AI products, or that we are making sure that we get the data in time. And I was really impressed by the talk on the service that is supporting families. Actually, it's really incredible to see that in some cases this means the difference between, you know, having a better life or being able to go on and not. So it's something that leaves a lot of weight on our shoulders as technology providers. And so I think there is still a lot to do, but we're definitely having the right conversations and implementing the right things so that we get everything done well. Thank you very much.
Excellent, and thanks to all the speakers. Thank you for attending the session.